so it's this rainy, icky, dreary, yucky, tropical depression kind of day in Houston. But I'm not complaining because the weather has cooled off. We have gone from 100+ degree days. And even though it's gray, it's very nice. So I came across something at the store the other day, y'all. I don't know if y'all use these, but they bring back fond memories for me. My mom and dad were biscuit eaters and biscuit makers, but they came from an era when you did all that from scratch. So when you could get a little can of biscuits, and they were so cheap. I think if my memory serves, you could get them for like 10 for $1. You can still get them 4 for $2, which means this is 50 cents. And so I want to take you with me on a trip down memory lane and show you some of the things that we did with these when we were kids. So come on, let's look at a good thing. So I've told y'all before, I don't like to make messes. Well, I like to make messes, I just don't like to clean up messes. So I always prep my countertops when I'm going to be working with dough. I put a little pastry cloth down, which is really just a little tea towel, and then I cover it with flour. Y'all know these little biscuits, how fun they are to open. Sometimes they kind of scare you. Whoop! Sounds like a bullet. So these are tiny, but I'm going to tell y'all a story. When we were kids, I told you we were vagabonds. We moved all over the country. And my dad was a musician, and wherever he went, he found other musicians. He was a fiddle player, and he was always looking for people who could also play fiddle or play guitar or whatever, so they could get together and play music. And he was semi-professional before he married my mom. He played with Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. But that was always just not really for work, for pleasure. He did make money at it, but he also had other businesses because he was quite the entrepreneur. Never made any money in any of his businesses, and that's actually why we moved all over the country. But when we lived in Arkansas, my dad struck up a friendship with a guy named Dave Beidler. I don't think Dave is with us any longer, and his wife's name was Shirley, and they had a passel of kids like we did. So you just separate your little biscuit. Oh my, Annie, good night. I have a Jack Russell, and she just thinks she's got to warn me about every single thing, even if it's just thunder. So you just kind of take these little biscuits, roll them out, make a little circle out of them. And of course, Shirley and Dave were country folk. So Shirley always had like canned preserves, like, she'd make jellies and jams. And sometimes she would just fill these with that. But what I'm gonna fill it with, my family, as we were growing up, we always loved cherry pie. That's kind of a Titus tradition. My mom was the best cherry pie maker in the world. Her cherry pies, par excellence. And my mother would never use store-bought pie filling. You never did that, whether it was apple, cherry, whatever. And these are the kind of cherries she would use. It wasn't this brand, but it's just a red tart cherry, pitted, and they're just in water. So you have to fix those up, and I'll show you how she did it. So like I said, the men were all in the living room playing music. They usually had a jug because men and music and cigarettes and corn whiskey just kind of go together. The women would be in the kitchen. There were usually just a couple, my mom and Shirley, maybe one other mom. And as kids, we just flitted about, we were just in, out, wherever the spirit led, chasing fireflies or playing hide and seek as the sun went down and the stars came out. And then we, wander in where the guys were playing, and my dad would wink at me, and he just had those tunes flying out of his fiddle. Oh my gosh, y'all, he was the best fiddle player that you ever saw. He could play anything. And he used to play turkey in the straw for us girls, and grin at us and wink at us, and he was just the cutest thing. And I felt like his little princess, even though he had 6 girls. I think we all felt like we were his little princess, but he made every one of us feel like we were his favorite. Okay, so you got 10 little circles. The next thing we're gonna do is fill them up. So this is not the way you would make a cherry pie, but this is the way I'm gonna make the filling. You're just gonna dump your cherries and your juice. Don't drain it. I'm having trouble with my stupid burner. I'll do the back one. Okay. Get them started on medium-high heat. Now it's not going to be a whole lot of juice, which is really okay for these little fried pies, because if you get too much juice, they ooze out and make a mess. So I'm probably going to use half a cup of sugar, because these are tart cherries. They're very, very tart, so they need a good bit of sugar. This is old-timey comfort food, so we're not counting calories, right? Maybe a pinch salt, because even sweet things have to have salt. Salt just brings out the flavor of everything. And you're going to bring that to a boil until it thickens. And we'll do time lapse on that so y'all can see it in a minute. Okay, so see how thick this is getting? You want it like that. You want it very, very thick. All right, and then fire off, and we're gonna fill them up. So here's what you do. You're gonna take a spoonful of berries, apples, cherries, whatever you want. I just love these little cherries. And you just want to put it on 1/2, leaving a rim around the perimeter. And then you just take a brush with a little bit of water, and you want to kind of dampen all the way around so it'll stick. Then you're just going to take your little dough, fold it over, press it down with your fingers, and then take a little fork and make pretty little tine marks in it. And that just seals it up really well. It just makes it so your juice doesn't come out. If you have a bunch of juice, that comes out in your oil, you're gonna have a mess. Ooh. Don't overfill. That is a mistake. You definitely don't want to overfill. They'll kind of expand while you're cooking, and you don't want them to leak, like I said. Just a little bit of water around the edge, press again. Now I'm going to fry these because that's what Shirley and Mom did. There's a little bit on the edge, I'll just clean it up. You can bake them. You can stick them in the oven on a cookie sheet if you're watching fat and so on, but these are fried pies. So, okay, we're cooking in black cast iron because that's what Mama would have done. And it's also a great conductor of heat, as I've told you guys before. It's consistently hot all the way across your skillet. And if you remember, how we test and see if it's ready to go is you just stick the handle of a wooden spoon in your oil, and if it starts sizzling around the base, you're good to go. Can you see all those bubbles? Good to go. So, we're gonna put a little fried pie in there. I'm just gonna gently place it in there. And you just do maybe 2 or at most 3 at a time. You don't want to crowd your pan ever. We've talked about that before. But here they go. They bubble up. And the filling is already cooked, so you're really not going to have to worry much about cooking the filling. You just want the outside to be nice and beautifully golden brown. And it happens pretty fast. See, look at this. I'm gonna flip it for you. Look at that. It's already beautifully brown. Isn't that pretty? Yum. And really, truly, the faster you cook them, the less oil they absorb. We've talked about that before too. Look how pretty that is. Golden brown. Just put it on your paper towel. Take the next one out. And then keep going. But I want to show you. Look at that. If you drain them a little bit, they're not greasy at all. Look, I held this one over my, hot. Held it over my skillet and drained it for a minute. Look, there's barely any grease on your paper towel, just a little bitty bit. So now you can top them with a little glaze if you want, but I'm just gonna sprinkle a little powdered sugar over the top. They don't really need anything. When we were kids, we typically just grabbed them as fast as the women could fry them. We'd run by, grab them, keep running. Okay, so here's the second thing you can do with canned biscuits if you want a little snack. This is something fun for kids, like want to do a little activity or something like at a sleepover. You can make donuts, guys. I'm not kidding. Okay, so you need a little something the size to make a donut hole. I didn't want to get out all my cookie cutters. I've got some little rings. This is a lid to vinegar. Just make sure you wash it, but you just need something that can make a circle in your biscuit. Just kind of smooth them out a little bit so they're not too thick. And then cut your little donut hole. Okay, then now I've switched to a pan instead of a skillet because for a donut, you kind of want them to be able to float up to the top a little bit. So I didn't want to use like a whole gallon of oil, but I wanted to have about an inch in the bottom of my pan. Here's how you can see if your oil is hot enough. Just drop in one of your little donut holes, and when it sizzles like that and puffs up and floats, your oil is hot enough. Look how cute this is. And they turn brown really fast too. Isn't that cute? So then you can just put your little donuts in. And look at that. It's a perfect little round donut hole. Same here. I just do 2 or 3 at a time. If you're letting kids do this, of course, you're going to supervise, but kids need to learn their way around a kitchen, I think. And what better way than something so fun? I don't even remember how we came across doing this. My mom might have just been, she was so creative and she was such a good cook. And either A, we didn't have enough money to buy donuts, or B, we were out in the boondocks and there were no donut shops because we lived in the country. But she was so creative, and oh my gosh, if these were 10 for $1 and she had a whole bunch of kids, I mean, she could do 20 donuts for less than a quarter. So here you go. And then you just drain those on your little paper towel. Like I said before, just kind of shake them off a little bit. Look at that, they're dry. They're not real greasy at all. And then you just do your next step. I'm only gonna do 5 because we've also got fried pies today. Everybody's gone. I don't need a bunch of sweets around here, but I was just craving this and thinking about my sweet daddy on this rainy day, and my precious little mama who would just do anything for us kiddos and for him. She oftentimes was not a real fan of some of his music playing friends, but we did love the Bidlers. If there are any Bidlers out there anywhere who ever see this, I love y'all. Email me, PM me, Facebook message me, something. We can talk about old times and our daddies playing fiddle music. Okay guys, now for your little donuts, you definitely have to make a glaze for these. And honestly, you know me, I don't even have a recipe for most stuff I do. Just take some plain powdered sugar, a little bit of half and half, and of course for glaze, you want it to be kind of thin, not really watery, but you're gonna stick your little donuts in here while they're warm. And so just swirl that together. So you can put a little pat of butter in it if you want. You can put a little vanilla if you want. Totally not necessary. And then all you're gonna do, get all my spoons away. You just wanna put the top in it once, drip it off a little bit, turn it over, dip the bottom in it, shake it off. I have just a little cake rack here with a paper towel under it. And then just put it on there to drip for a sec. You don't want too much frosting on it. You just want this nice little cute glaze. And of course, if it's kids, and like I said, if they're doing a slumber party or something, they can get sprinkles out. You can also add a little cocoa to your glaze and make chocolate frosted donuts for them if you want. Whatever y'all want to do, just do it. Just make some fun little memories. That's all I'm saying. It's all about the memories, having fun in your kitchen. Okay, here we go. There's those little donut holes. Aren't they cute? They're so fluffy too, y'all. These are really light. It does not taste like a biscuit, I promise you. There's no baking powder taste or anything. Look at that. And if you give it about 5 minutes to cool off, that glaze, it will just be like a donut shop donut. Okay, y'all, here they are. Look at this full plate of delicious, wonderful memories. Not only did we make these when I was a kid, I taught my kids how to make them. Look at these little donuts. Look at that. So here's to Shirley Beidler, Dave Beidler, my mom, my dad. Shirley and Dave loved the Lord. Shirley was so cute. She didn't wear pants and she never cut her hair. She didn't have a stitch of makeup, so she was a little different than my mom. But they were kindred spirits, and they loved their families so much, and I will always honor them and never think of a can of biscuits without remembering Shirley and my mom. Let me show you the inside. Look at that. It's just a little light, very thin crust, and then your delicious filling. And like I said, you can put anything in it that you want. And here's our little donuts. Look at that. Delicious. Please try these with your kids. Make some fun memories. Thank you for joining me for this really good thing. Please follow my page, like and share, and I'll see you again soon. God bless you. You guys, I know there's a lot of bad things that we can think about in this world right now. We do need to ponder them, but please don't dwell on them. Think about the good things. It really is all going to be okay. Let's all just get out there and do good and be good.